welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Kinnett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Down through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Shootout countdown, Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another round of your PSGL season tonight. F4 10 months, but hey, let's see if we can rekindle that relationship, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting night. Belgium, enjoyable track. Many enjoy it. Most enjoy it. We have just gotten into qualifying, but one thing I want to note is the drivers' standings. After the first two races, JST leads. Then it's Isaac Lee and Louis Welch, who I believe are all here tonight. If I double check that, Isaac Leet is, and I know that Louis Welch is, but I don't see JST unless I'm missing him completely.
Nope, you're right.
Okay, so two of our top three are here. Yeah, so this is a good chance for Isaac Lee and Louis Welch to actually pull off something good here tonight. Of course, Louis Welch won in Brazil, which was a big moment for him, brought him back up into the title fight, especially after a really poor start to the season, only finishing P19 in Bahrain, which is not the start you want to have, but it's going to be an interesting one.
It's certainly going to be an interesting one, as we've already got support for probably the most famous driver in this division, Tom 97 in the Alpine tonight. We've got 19 of our 20 drivers joining. I believe the last one might be joining mid-qualifying, and then we will get 20 drivers, and we will get a full race lobby underway. And we are certainly getting underway straight away here in Spa-Francorchamps, with everybody out on an outlap, and everybody now heading through Sector 2. The only exception to that is Florian Fanzelter, who is still back in Sector 1. But the first laps are about to be set, and we are to be led by not Igor Piasecki. We are to be led by Aaron Raminguez, who will be the first driver to set his lap. Of course, if he invalidates, then the mantle will switch to not Carlos Galindo, to Lucas Beisner. I'm almost getting it right. I've got the teammates right, and taking a wide line. Out of the final corner, Lucas Beisner begins his first run and his first lap here in Belgium, and well, one of the longest, if not the longest, circuits on the calendar, and some of the longest lap times that we're going to see. Only 22 laps in this race, but they will be action-packed as they head up now through Eau Rouge and Rally on some of the most iconic corners in the entire Formula One calendar before you head down the Kemmel Straight and to the sector split time now through the chicane, which is very easy to lose the rear if you're not careful, and then down the hill, a braking zone similar to Austria at turn number 4. Coming out of that, it's the tricky second sector, and Lucas Beisner, he's gotten through it pretty well. He's just got a long, sweeping half-speed corner to go. You can, I mean, go as quick as you dare go through there. Try and go full throttle, you'll go into the wall. So it's hard to weigh up for these drivers. Then Lucas Beisner heading through the second part of the second sector. He'll come up to the third sector split time. We will see where he goes up to. It's going to be over a minute. It's a minute 13 So, of course, one of the longest tracks on the calendar and one of the longest stretches between the start-finish straights and Sector 2. Sector 3, almost fully flat out until you get to the bus stop chicane. We will watch Lucas Beisner as he traverses the bus stop chicane, and we will see where the V-carb, almost said AlphaTauri, where the V-carb ends up as they come across the line. Aaron Ramirez with a 40.8 and Lucas Beisner with a 40.8 as well. But he is just under 2/10 behind us. That is Igor Piasecki setting the pace so far with a 1 minute 40.703. The lap times are now flying in, and we will switch to one of our title contenders, Louis Welch, who is invalidated. So we will not switch to Louis Welch. Instead, we shall switch to Isaac Leet, that's Patrick De Meyer, as Isaac Leet vacated that P18 spot that I was about to switch to, and he moved up to P10. But it's the Haas drivers up on the top row, and they're looking pretty confident at the moment.
Yeah, very much. It's a very good look for both Haas's, both sort of there. But Igor Pajeski, you've got to say about that lap time he put in, over a 10th clear of anybody else. And we're seeing these times literally being split by, from second to fourth is 12 thousandths of a second. So at the moment, I'd definitely say that Igor Pajeski maybe in a little bit of a league of his own at the moment. But I think we could see, as qualifying goes on, maybe that closes in. But it was a very strong first run for both Haas's. And but I will say one thing: a couple of drivers did seem to make a mistake or two here and there. So it's not a lot of time in the lap left, I think, really, from that first run. But they've definitely got a bit of time, which will close them up, of course.
Yeah, and the likes of Bogdan Moldovan will hope to go again on his lap and try to improve on that time at the moment, sitting with a 42.3, so not sitting with the competitive runs. He and Patrick De Meyer sort of the exceptions on that. Patrick De Meyer 0.3 back on Kyle, 2.5 if you're being picky. They'll all come back down to the pits, and they will come in. The exception to that rule is Benny Fabos, or Benny Fabos, is how I would pronounce it. He heads up Eau Rouge and Radion on his outlap, and Nikit Sauber, who invalidated on his first run, is looking to emulate his teammate, who sits currently in P3, just 3 thousandths of a second ahead of Lucas Beisner, and just 100th of a second behind Aaron Ramirez in second place. But there's a 10th gap at the top of the field. Igor Piasecki looking solid at the moment, and can anyone compete? As that is our final driver. Jensen Rosen joins the session, and he will make it 20. He'll be without that just first run that most of these drivers have gone on, and he will be probably in the loop with Benny Fabos and Louis Welch, who invalidated on their first run. So not the ideal position for him to join in, but hey, he should have been on time then. But yeah, almost halfway through this qualifying session now, and they will be preparing for second, maybe even third runs if they can squeeze them in.
I do agree with that. One driver who is surprisingly not doing it too badly is the Williams of Alessandro Finn in 10th place. Who's at the moment, he is in the pits, but of course he's a full-time driver. He's one of them. He's actually bottom of the full-time drivers. 18th in Bahrain and P11 last race round. It's not been a great start. A much better improvement from round 1 to round 2, of course. Hoping for points this week. He's not far off of that top time, so don't sort of count him out. But some very familiar names for me to see, as Alessandro Finn does make his way out, and I believe we've got quite a few drivers out there at the moment. As I think Benny Fabos, as I think you said, is on a lap, same as Louis Welch, who's also gone through turn 1. So a bit of a different strategy from these two going out quite early. But yeah, should we see how Benny does on his lap?
Indeed, we shall. He heads up now through the Kemmel Straight, and the first sector split time is a 30.6, as I believe that may have been a break ball going flying there, as Benny just tries to extend the track as much as he possibly can so he can get the turn in. And just there, once again, you can see a slide as he throws the car into the corner. But Benny Fabos at the moment looking pretty solid and looking as though he is really pushing on this lap. This isn't a consolation lap. This isn't just a banker lap. This is Benny Fabos' first real push lap, as Jensen Rosen is out on the circuit. Everybody is out on the circuit. We have nobody in the pits at the moment. But Benny Fabos and Louis Welch are the drivers on laps. They haven't set times at the moment, as they will be going for 3 runs, but Fabosh, Welch and Rosen, they will be restricted to just 2. But now Fabosh, with 2 corners to go, we'll see whether the kick Sauber can emulate Balin Elekish, his teammates' time at the top with 1 minute 40.816. One more braking zone to go as he heads into the bus stop chicane and taking too much curbing there. And Fabosh will dive into the pits once again. And I'm glad I caught that one on stream, because that is something that can be discussed later on. Louis Welch will be coming up to the line. Where is he able to put his Alpine? He'll put it ahead of the other Alpine in P12.
Bit of a rough lap from Louis Welch as I was watching there. He doesn't seem all that confident with the car. It seems like the car's a little bit snappy, also understeering at points, so maybe he's not entirely happy with the car at the moment. Of course, you know, his teammate only just right behind him, 31 thousandths behind him. You know, he's found himself up in a good position, but as a second run, it's a little bit down from where you would expect it to be. Maybe track evolution not getting that much better, and sort of to the amount that, for instance, some drivers might expect.
Yeah, we're watching now Oliver Knott as he heads through the second sector, and there are quite a few lockups for a few of these drivers. Of course, the F1 game, of course, does emphasise some of these lockups and make them look a bit more dramatic than they are, especially as sometimes a lockup is the way to go. But Oliver Knott, sporting the 97 that the Alpine would have wanted to take, is heading through the second sector. Huge slide, and off goes Oliver Knott. Lucky not to lose a tyre there as he goes into the wall, and he's lost the majority of that front wing. And the Aston Martin will now be with just the 1 lap at the end of the session to make it stick and to try and make those times work. But a huge mistake from Oliver Knott. That could have huge consequences. We'll watch now Aaron Raminguez, who gets through the same sector okay, and he's not quite improving on his time. Igor Piaszczewski comes into the pits. He's not happy with his lap. 1 minute 40.7 is enough for him at the moment, as he's a 10th and some change ahead of his teammate Raminguez and everybody else on the field, as the second lap times are being put in. Alessandro Finn, the only one to improve so far. Jensen Rosen going in with a 41.2. He goes down to P16. Raminguez dives into the pits. He's not happy with that lap. Lucas Beisner goes up onto the front row, and Damien Curiel goes into 3rd place, as that's Patrick De Meyer jumping to 7th. The lap times are improving now, and we are watching Balint Alekesh, who sits with a 1 minute 40.816 as Carlos Galindo goes into the 0.6s. He is the first driver to do so. Can Alekes become the second? Tim Tornimo just 2,000 behind him. And, well, that was somebody going in and around that sort of time. Alekes does go fastest by 8/10 of a second, 8/100 of a second even. And the kick Sauber, he's now the quickest man on this circuit. And that is advantage now heading over to Alekes. The Haas drivers, who were first and second after the first stint, now find themselves 3rd and 7th.
Very, very strong from Balint Alekesh. He's had us, he was sort of, after the first run, he wasn't exactly there. He was a bit off. Still quite high up. He's a little bit off, though. He's found, about, 2/10 in his lap time, a decent chunk in that second run. He should have time for 3rd run. I think he will have enough time, as long as he can get back to the pits quick enough, as his teammate goes past him. It's an interesting one, though, there, because you see, we saw the lap times improve, and that's how much the small mistakes did cost a lot of these drivers. The very small mistakes, it did cost them sort of 1/10, 2/10. And I think that's what we're seeing on the second and probably on the 3rd run. We'll be perfecting the run then, and perfecting each and every flying lap. But so far, it's interesting to see again, one driver pulling quite a bit further ahead of the others. The others quite squished in and quite close. But it's an interesting one. Quite a few changes there, but not exactly what, for instance, one driver would have wanted, and that driver is Louis Welch. He was P12 or P11. He's now P17. He is on an outlap. Of course, he's having to go for that slightly different strategy when it comes down to when he makes his runs, when he does go for the flying laps. And so let's see what Louis Welch can do as he's about to start his lap. And let's see what the Alpine has in store. Louis Welch does need a big improvement here. 2/10 could see himself move up to about 10th place as he is going for it, but he is going to have some cars in front of him and all around him as Igor Pajzeski is also starting his final run.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a case of the fact that they are preparing for one more lap, or they could be pushing straight away with 4 minutes left in the session. It is all up in the air. We will see as they cross the first sector split times where Welch and Piszczecki are. Welch and Piszczecki now both heading down the Kemmel Straights. Piszczecki just coming up to that first sector split time now, and it will be an improvement. So he is pushing Welch not too far behind. He must be pushing as well, and they are coming through now the second sector. This is indeed their final runs. I thought they'd be going for maybe another lap just to prepare themselves fully for that final run to get rid of as much fuel in the car, but they've prioritized tyre life over that fuel mix, and they are ready to fly everybody else sitting in the pit lane. There will be no traffic for either of these drivers, or indeed Oliver Knott as well, who's invalidated on his lap. He will either come back in or wait for that final run. I think it will be a risk now to come back in, but this is Louis Welch heading through the second sector. The split times once again for Piszczecki. What is it going to be? It's going to be an improvement by almost 1/10 of a second. It's purple in that second sector for Piszczecki, and I would not be surprised if that is legitimate, even though sometimes the game does like to deceive. The final drivers are coming out of the pits now. They are preparing for their final runs, but we are watching Igor Piszczecki maybe taking pole position. He is looking on track to do just that, but he dives into the pit. Piszczecki does not think he's going to improve, and Louis Welch, he's going to come up to the line, and it's a 1 minute 40.575. So the Alpine with an incredible lap thrown in right at the death, and that could be enough for pole position, but he will have every single driver coming out of the pits now just to try to challenge him.
Yeah, I think, of course, he's had to go for that risky strategy of having to go earlier, as he sort of almost forced himself a little bit into that when he, I think, invalidated his first run. You know, he kind of happened that way. But the good thing that he does have is he has a bit of an advantage now. You know, he's got that sort of, you know, sort of half a tenth, you know, a little bit less than half a tenth over Balin Alecki's. Oliver Knott retires, so feeling that he can't improve on another lap, so he's going to stay 17th, possibly drop down even lower. But it's a very strong lap then, very much unexpected to see, even though Louis Welch is third in the championship. It was, you know, from his last run, it wasn't looking like it was too brilliant, but he's definitely pulled it together on his final run. But we're going to have to be seeing who's going to be setting that time, who wants to take pole position, who has the skill to take pole position. The first driver charging for the final runs is Alessandro Finn.
Yeah, Alessandro Finn will be the first one across the line, as he has been in most of these laps in this session, as he's been very, very keen to get out there, show us what he can do. And now he'll head up at Eau Rouge and Radion for the final time in this qualifying session before we head to race day, and he will be side by side with different drivers up there. It'll be interesting to see whether anybody does chance a move up Eau Rouge in race day, but at the moment we are heading through with Alessandro Finn, who set an identical first sector to what he set before. So the man in P12 at the moment, he will want to improve in this second and third sector. He will want to find those improvements. If he can find a 10th and a half, he can go up into the top 6 odd. That is Louis Welch retiring from the session. He thinks that a 40.5 is either good enough, or he doesn't think he'll be able to go around for another lap, and I would not blame him, as Alessandro Finn heading through the second sector now. He's got a couple more corners before the second sector split time. He needs an improvement in this second sector because he matched that first sector time, as, well, he's going to come up to it in one corner's time, and it's going to be a 1:13.127. Time has been found for Alessandro Finn in that second sector. 3/10, in fact, has been found for the Williams man, and he will have 2 more corners to go. But this is looking like a pretty solid lap. This is, in fact, looking like he could be provisionally on the front row as the checkered flag is waved now. Igor Piszczecki will not make it round and set a lap, so he will peak at P4. Alessandro Finn up to the line. He's going to try to upset, and he goes in with the fastest of all as 1:40.5 as we switch to the further back. Balint Alekish, who's been kicked off the front row, will want to take that position back as the drivers are across the line. Kai goes in 6th place with a 40.7. And, well, Oliver Knott will not be improving on P17. Pashetsky will not be improving on P5. And now Bogdan Moldovan won't be improving from P18. So lots of work to do for Finn's teammate. And at the moment, Finn is in prime position to take that pole position away. Alekish's teammate Fabosh comes across the line. Alekish comes across the line and doesn't improve. And he will be starting from a peak of P3. This is Tim Tornimo, who's improved by a 10th.5 in that first sector, as Stephen Vaso goes up into 3rd. Lucas Beisner goes into 4th, and Aaron Raminguez snatches that pole position back by 0.003 of a second off of Alessandro Finn. Tim Tornimo has improved by a significant margin. If he can find any more time in this final sector, he will be right up there at the top with Raminguez and Finn. Has he been able to? It's a 40.6. It's down in 9th place. It's less than a 10th off pole position. This has been one of the most incredible qualifyings we've ever seen. And at the end of it, it's going to be Aaron Raminguez who takes that pole position by 0.003 ahead of Alessandro Finn.
What a lap. Right at the end, when he was needed. What a lap from Aaron Raminguez. Exactly what you expected to see there. And it was interesting, you know, only 0.003. That's how close it was. For, you know, 12,000 splitting the top 3, which is absolutely crazy. But, you know, it was last second, last moment, last everything really for Aaron Raminguez. But he's the one who's been able to perform just ahead of everyone else. But I must say, it was very, very good from all of the top 5 who were all within 200ths of each other.
Yeah, and the top 10 by under a 10th of a second. How often do you see that? So Aaron Raminguez taking that pole position ahead of Alessandro Finn in 2nd place. Then it's Louis Welch in 3rd. Stephen Vaso in 4th with Carlos Galindo in 5th. Fanzelter in 6th. Beisner in 7th. Then it's Alekes, who was actually on the front row before those final runs came in. He drops down to P8. It's Tim Tornimo who takes that P9 spot. And it is Damian Curiel in P10. Then looking further down, Il Piaszewski incredibly dropping to P11 with CPI Kai in 12th place. Then it's Tom Roberts 13th, Isaac Leet 14th, Jensen Rosen 15th, Benny Fabosh in 16th, Patrick Deckmeyer in 17th, Tom 97 in 18th, Oliver Knott in 19th, the first driver into the 141s, and the final qualifying position is Bogdan Moldovan. But as I mentioned, one of the most incredible qualifyings that you will ever see, and it is topped by Aaron Raminguez.
It was definitely an interesting one, I think. I think it's something that was an incredible last second lap to see from himself. But yeah, really good. Really, really good lap. One of, I think, the best we've seen, to be honest. And I don't think we're going to see a grid that close on a track that is so long.
Yeah, because it is 1 minute 40 of a lap. It is just a touch over 7 kilometers around that circuit. So it's incredible that they are even able to get that close, because there is so much space for errors. There's so much room for error. But in the end of it, Raminguez remained the driver who ended up just that little bit errorless. He was 0.003 ahead of Alessandro Finn. And barring an identical time, I don't think I've ever seen a battle for pole that close. We will be having a lobby restart within the next few minutes, and then lights out will be happening at around 8:30. I will switch back to the commentator's corner, by the way. So if you want to get primed and ready and in position, I'm going to switch back in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Sorry, the stinger took longer than I thought it would. There we go. Look at us. We are ready and we are primed for what should be an incredible race around the Belgian Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps, just over 7 kilometers of circuit, and somehow the top 10 separated by under a 10th of a second. That looks like it's going to set up an incredible 22 laps around the Ardennes Forest, doesn't it?
Yeah, I very much do agree. I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you sort of you see how close it is, and then you think if it's gonna be like that in the race, it's gonna be really, really good, and it's gonna be absolutely, I mean, exceedingly amazing. But realistically, as we all know, the gaps will spread out a bit depending on strategy. But most likely, if we can keep everybody close together, I think it'll be very, very interesting to see.
It will be a spectacle at the very least. And even if we don't get all 10 of those cars in the top 10 fighting for the lead, I'm sure there will be a scrap between a few of the drivers, all oh so closely matched. This is why we like the format of this is why we like the format of the tiered system, so that drivers can race against other drivers their pace. And tonight it is exactly that. Epic Freestyler Cam, what are we seeing? Well, look, listen, it might be 360p, but we'll take what we can get. And yeah, just wow, what a race we
I
could
believe it
have
might be
in
frozen.
store. Oh, it is frozen. Oh well.
Yeah, what? Because I was about to say, because I was double checking that. I heard you say that. I was like, let me have a look, and no, it is frozen. Yeah,
There you go.
that's
It's
why.
unfrozen now, so you
Okay.
can see your beautiful
Yay,
face,
we're back.
and you can't just see the multicolored mic. Is that better, by the way, audio wise? I think to those on stream, I did try to balance it. I was having
Well,
some.
still, I do think it's.
What you think? What's what?
I think yeah, I think let's get your streaming skills up. I think
Look,
I'm
listen.
kidding. I'm joking. I'm
You
joking.
you
I
backed
love
out
your
of
props.
streaming tonight. You said I don't want to stream, so I've taken the mantle.
Yeah.
Because
No, it wasn't. I didn't want to stream. I just didn't. I just couldn't stream. I just didn't want to mess everything up.
yeah.
Bullying. No. Yeah, this race is going to be interesting. I do agree with you. I think it is one of the closest I've personally seen. I think we've both seen, to be honest. Especially for Belgium as well. Usually we see like a sort of, sort of between the top 10, sort of maybe 2/10 gap, not a tenth.
Yeah.
So it is incredibly close, and it's incredibly interesting. Now let's have a look. Is the lobby back up? Yes or no? Probably no.
We will see. In the meantime, I'll test my audio volume again, because, well, I'm trying to sort peaking issues. It sounded like it was peaking qualifying. I've turned it down, and it was a little bit dramatic, I think. But there we go. The lobby is back open. We are almost ready, and we've got 19 drivers in. We were all so close to having. Have we got 19 or have we got 18? We have got 19 drivers in, so there's one driver missing, and then we will get ready. The drivers will get their setups on, they will get their strategies sorted, and then we will go to the 5 lights. But I mean, after those 5 lights, we've got 22 laps of Belgium. After those 22 laps, we will have a victor. Who's your call?
Oh no! Don't get me to do that, because I'm just gonna hit them with a commentator's curse. We know. Okay, from my history, you don't want me to say somebody to win, because
I do.
They will definitely crash or have some sort of. I mean, I have caused mechanical problems for people with their sim rigs, just because I said they'll win. But I think honestly, it's really difficult. It's too difficult to some degree. But you know what? I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna say something bold. I'm gonna say Baden. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to say that one again? Because we've had a disconnect. So I didn't quite hear. I heard we're going to say
Wow.
and then nothing. Genuinely the perfect time for that to have cut off.
That was really disappointing.
Go on.
Who? Yeah. Baden keys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see
Not
how
as
that one goes.
As I did say it, but I don't know who it was who disconnected. It doesn't really matter, but I don't know whether it was me or you. I have no clue. It's probably just Discord being Discord.
I think it was Discord being Discord, but yeah, I'm turning absolutely everything up just to see if I can get that audio volume up. Maybe I need to turn Freestyler down. Maybe that's the solution.
Maybe I'm just really loud. Maybe I should just start screaming into the mic and see whether I'm too loud or not.
I would not suggest that. For our 36 viewers that we've got in today, thank you for your support, by the way.
Yeah.
While you're
Do
here,
not wear headphones. I'm going to scream.
and we will unfortunately have a disconnect again in that case. Yeah.
Yippee.
That genuinely probably top 10 most perfect timed moments that I've ever seen, because you genuinely said, I'm gonna say. So yeah, I mean, could be worse. Could have been, could have disconnected at the start of the race, and then we couldn't have been able to get you in. Thank you, by the way, for stepping in. I know you're not full-time comms, but thank you for stepping in nonetheless. And hopefully we will get.
I do exist.
You do. Occasionally, yeah.
Yes. Insults. Absolute amazing insults.
Listen, just listen. I've progressed past your league now. I can insult you. I'm above. I can't speak now. I'm above you on that level. Apart from maybe not the comms level, because I actually now can't speak, so that demotes me below. But we do have 20.
But your main job to speak. You're like, nah, I can't speak.
Nah, it's all good. Don't need to be able to speak to commentate anyway. But yes, we are readying up. We are getting going, and then the Ardennes Forest lies ahead of us. And by the way, ever since I said we had 36 viewers, we've dropped it by 10. But that may be due to.
Bro jinxed it.
It may be due to the F2 race starting, of course. If you want to interact with PSGL anymore, of course, continue to watch this stream, because we're the best commentators. It's the best stream that you're going to get the best action. That's how that works. After you've watched this race, you can watch back the highlights or the VOD of the F2 race, and also make sure to join us an hour earlier for the F3 and the F5 as well. So there's plenty of PSGL action, and just in case you want to watch a little bit more, we can sprinkle in some Mondays for you. How about that? We've got PlayStation, who race on Mondays, same times and same place as well. Not necessarily the same commentators, but quality nonetheless. We're all loading in now, and the 5 lights are just a few minutes away. So we will go back to beautiful shots of the podium in the Ardennes Forest. And, well, what a beautiful track Spa-Francorchamps is, eh?
Yeah, very much. I mean, the elevation is crazy, and I think that's what makes it so fun. But yeah, I think it is one of the tracks that I say is legendary and I love, but at the same time, I say I don't like driving it. So, I'm a little bit of a sort of double-edged sword, really, with that. I do think this track is going to be an interesting one, though. You can overtake in a lot of places. There's a lot of... What's strange is you can overtake in quite a few places, but it's not necessarily corners you can overtake, which is an interesting one. Of course, you've got turn 1, which you could dive bomb it into turn 1, like we saw, wasn't it 2012? With Romain Grosjean and all of that, which was crazy. We've had quite a few moments of that in real life, but I think what's going to be important for a lot of the drivers is getting through turn 1 and the bus stop chicane at the end of the lap without having any problems or having to race anybody. Because the minute that happens, we know chaos might happen, especially since they added the gravel on the outside of turn 1 off of the exit. So if you go off, you might spin or you might slow down a lot and cause a whole massive crash.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, or maybe for the action, let's hope that does happen. But yeah. Of course, we don't wish any ill upon the drivers. They won't get hurt by this at all. But we are going to head now to the 5 lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's action here in Spa. Aaron Raminguez off to a strong start. And it's Alessandro Finn and Louis Welch. They're going to try to push 3 wide into turn 1. And Welch will take it, but he runs deep. And Alessandro Finn will take that lead back. Aaron Raminguez and Carlos Galindo side by side as we head up to Eau Rouge now. Who's going to dare go side by side? It's not going to be any of the top pack. And they're going to head through just like this. Finn, then Welch, Raminguez, Vaso, then Galindo. And that could all be set to change as we head down the Kemmel Straight. Finn is desperately trying to defend from Louis Welch, who looks around the outside. Galindo and Vaso side by side for P4 and P5. Galindo comes back out on top, and he will retake P4. Looking further down as Damian Curiel retakes P10 after a little scrap with Igor Piaszczewski, but huge grip on the outside line for the Haas driver and also for the Mercedes behind. They could be under pressure for the final points positions as we head now down the hill, as that is Jensen Rosen looking for moves, trying to make moves up, but he will sit just behind as Benny Fabosh tries to shape up a move on him, as that is a Mercedes sending a move. Isaac Leet trying to go down the inside, unable to, and he's just going to sit in behind, but the top pack stays as they were at the end of the first corner. Alessandro Finn taking that lead by 5 whole tenths ahead of Louis Welch.
And that is exactly what he needed. It was a massive dive bomb into turn 1 from Louis Welch. Aaron Raminguez suffered massively from that. We saw him drop down to about P4 at one point. You know, he's battling over that position. And Alessandro Finn has had the start that he wanted. But now, through the bus stop chicane, we said about battling before the start, and it's Louis Welch versus Aaron Raminguez again. And there's an RB that's gone a bit off there. I think that's Lucas Baisner. Yes, it is. He drops down to P9, though. And going through turn 1, DRS enables, of course, off of lap 2. Lucas Baisner, we've got quite a few moves actually happening. Balin Alikis getting up to 6th place. Stefan Vaso down into 7th now, so it's not going so well there. Lucas Baisner, of course, down to 9th. The group's starting to spread out. A couple of drivers find themselves on their own. We can see a few gaps. Florian Fanzelter now going into P4. What a move down the Kemmel Straight and into the chicane. It's going to stay the same. No changes except for that move from the ABS driver. But that is it.
They're also close in that top 5, and any one of them could make a move at any point, as that Stephen Vaso. He's made a move. It was almost round, but he manages to stay in that P6, but loses a small chunk of time to Carlos Galindo. Luckily enough, not too much time, and the RB will remain in that P5 spot and is able to get right back up to the back of Florian Fanzelter in P4. Fanzelter, who in his own right is shaping up a move on Aaron Raminguez for the final podium position. He's going to try to take that down probably the main straight as they head through now Linus Stern. And Alessandro Finn now 2 tenths further forward than he was on the last lap on Louis Welch. So he's certainly much quicker through the second sector, and he's going to try to push everything he can to break that DRS range to Louis Welch, but he's going to be unable to, and Welch reeling him back in. Finn's quicker through the corners, Welch is quicker on the straights, and Fanzelter is shaping up a move for that 3rd position as they head now through the bus stop chicane. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It's going to be Fanzelter. Can he get the exit, though, to seal that position? It's going to be incredibly still side by side as we head down turn 1. They are unable to be split, but in the end, Raminguez sacrifices the position. Fanzelter moves up into P3, and the McLaren driver is now on that podium.
Remember, Florian is on the mediums, though, compared to everyone around him on the hard tyre. So this is why he's actually getting a really good getaway, and he's getting a really good start. The hard tyres take quite a while to switch on, take quite a few laps before it sort of starts to equal out between the mediums and the hards. And of course, we know the tyre wear mediums and hards don't have a huge difference on this year's game. So we'll have to see. But Florian already eyeing up another position on the Alpine now of Louis Welch, and then hoping to get at the Williams of Alessandro Finn. Florian pushing. He's all over the back of that Alpine. He is right on the gearbox of it. Can't make a move just yet. We might see another bus stop chicane move from Florian. Whether he wants to send it and risk his race, because of course, every time you make a move, every time you send a dive bomb, it is risking your race that little bit. Will he want to do that? Maybe. But we'll have to see. These drivers know what they're doing. They have huge amounts of skill. And I think the dive bomb might not be too difficult for Florian here.
Yeah, he's going to want to take advantage of those mediums for as long as he possibly can. And he's right all over the back of Louis Welch, maybe even making the move around the outside. Might not even need the bus stop chicane braking zone to make it stick. And indeed, he does not. He moves into P2, and now he sets his sights on the rear wing of the Williams. heading through the two DRS zones. Fanzelter getting that grip on the exit will try to gain time, and he takes the fastest lap for good measure, a 1 minute 44.410, and they are about to head up Eau Rouge and Radion, and Fanzelter is likely to be about to try to make a move for the lead of this race. Finn was able to build up a gap of 0.8 of a second at its peak ahead of Louis Welch, but Fanzelter has reeled it back in to just 0.2, and he's about to get DRS for the second time on this lap already. He's opened it now. He's closing right in. He's pulling to the inside line. How much is Alessandro Finn actually going to fight this one? The answer is nothing, because Fanzelter just has too much straight line speed and has too much grip in the corners, and surely he's going to try and pull away now. The scraps further down the field as Oliver Knott gets past Tom 97. Kai trying to find that same gap down the inside of the Alpine, but unable to, and that opens up the gap with a poor exit for Bogdan Moldovan, who tries to go around the outside of Kai, but he's unable to, and now it's having a domino effect with Benny Fabosh able to get past Patrick Dackmeyer for the final two positions. The wooden spoon has now been handed to Dackmeyer, but looking further up, it's going to be a very, very tense race. Everybody's still within DRS of each other, and still all trying to shape up moves. For example, Jensen Rosen on the back of Damien Curiel, and I think it's fair to say all over the back of Damien Curiel, heading through this second sector, and he'll try maybe to make a move into the bus stop chicane, but all staying pretty matched on pace. I said they were close, and they certainly are demonstrating that here. Rosen around the outside of Curiel, and P12 is the Red Bulls, but Galindo getting ever closer to the back of Aaron Ramirez, who he took that pole position, but he's not quite had the race pace yet.
Just to say, Damien Curiel, he does have some minor front wing damage. The front wing end plate is off of his wing. That's why he is currently struggling a bit on pace. That's also going for the same for the halves of Igor Pajetsky. As you know, he had a really good pace in qualifying, but hasn't been able to translate that into race pace, and I think that is probably the reason why he hasn't been able to push so much, is because of that front wing damage. But so far, it's been an interesting last lap or two. Nobody hugely risking moves, but we might be seeing a bit of a risky move further back from Carlos Galindo, trying to get up into P4 ahead of Aaron Ramirez. Not yet, but what isn't helping here is that Louis Welch is struggling to keep up with Alessandro Finn, currently sitting almost 0.7 behind now, and it's not going too well for the Alpine. He might be having to use some battery here to catch back up to the Williams, as they don't really want to lose DRS to not only Alessandro Finn, but also Florian Fanzelter.
You could call it the Jensen Rosen effect, as Jensen is now out of the DRS of Isaac Leach. 1.2 seconds is what he's going to have to gain as Benny Fabosh becomes the first driver to pick up a penalty, and team orders has been implemented at Aston Martin. Damien Curiel with that damage quite clearly getting out of the way of Oliver Knott, who will now try to attack further forward and will now set his sights on Pashetsky, who has that damage that you mentioned earlier on. And, well, Rosen's been able to make it back into the DRS, but it is the effect of Pashetsky and Curiel that's almost having a domino effect on the rest of the field, which is why they've started to drop off just that little bit. Galindo closer than ever to the back of Ramirez. Ramirez closer than ever to the back of Louis Welch. And now the gap is up to 0.9 as they head out of the final corner to Florian Fanzelter. Tim Tornimo getting past Lucas Beisner, and Isaac Leach looking to do the same into turn number 1. But Beisner trying to fight back with Tornimo as Bogdan Moldovan becomes the first driver to retire from the session. Tim Tornimo holds on. Is Beisner going to chance a move up the... I really thought he was going to go for it there. He looked to shape one up, maybe trying to force a mistake out of Tim Tornimo, but he's going to go for the move anyway down the Kemmel Straight. The slipstream has been removed as he pulls to the inside line. But the straight line speed for Lucas Beisner not quite there, and Tim Tornimo holds on to that P8 spot, and that is exactly what the Ferrari would have wanted as he moves up now, and he sets his sights on the fastest group at the moment. The top 7 appear to have the pace over the rest of the field. Top 7.
Yeah,
with...
very much.
Continue.
Yeah, very much. I just want to say, by the way, Lucas Beisner, you said about how he doesn't seem to have the straight line speed. I was just looking at his qualifying times quickly. I just had a quick look back, and his last sector was actually quite weak. So he's clearly gone for more of a cornering setup than a straight line speed setup, which is why I think that's why we're seeing the split. That's why I believe Florian Fanzelter is still getting away from Alessandro Finn. It's not just because of tyres, but also because he has immense straight line speed.
Yeah, immense straight line speed as it's really coming into effect, the setups. I mean, we've seen Fanzelta break away as this is Carlos Galindo finally shaping up a move on Aaron Ramirez, but maybe going for the switchback out of the bus stop chicane, but just a big slide on the exit means that he's not going to be able to make that move. Ramirez looking forward rather than backwards, looking at the rear wing of Louis Welch, who's 7/10 behind Alessandro Finn. Finn himself is 9/10 behind Florian Fanzelta, so this could be the crunch time in this race, with Fanzelta having a few more laps as there's yellow flags out. Benny Fabosh has gone around. There's contact between himself and CPI Kai at turn number 1. They've both sustained damage, and they've both sustained a lot of time loss. Patrick Detmeyer, I think, was involved in that one as well, and that is 3 drivers out of contention as Isaac Leak moves past Lucas Beisner, and Tom97 goes onto the grass, Alexander Albon style, to get past Roberts, Piszczecki and Curiel as well, but not what CPI Kai or Benny Fabosh would have wanted, and now they're going to have to adjust their strategies right down at the bottom. Oliver Knott has lost DRS once again. Jensen Rosen has gained it on Lucas Beisner, not struggling for grip through a couple of these corners, and the Thomas Enger man won't be happy with that pace at the moment. 1.4 seconds off of Jensen Rosen, and a further 2/10 up to the points.
Yeah, very much. Igor Pajewski getting a 3-second time penalty there as well, not helping his days, having a very rough one. One side of Haas working well, the other not going so well, reminding me very much of 2023 with Haas, with Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hulkenberg having very different seasons, and also last year as well. But looking overall, one driver who has had a quiet race is actually Tom97 himself. It's been an incredibly quiet race from the Alpine compared to his teammate. I don't know whether he's struggling for pace a bit, because we did see that in qualifying. He wasn't great on pace. But realistically, he just seems to not be having it, as a mistake from Oliver Knott brings Tom97 back into contention to battle over P12 now. But like I was saying, Tom97, great driver, don't get me wrong, quite fast, but it's not working here tonight.
No, and it's 97 versus 97 for P number 12 as they head up the hill. Could this be? I keep getting promised moves up the hill as that is Benny Fabosh coming into the pits. That is also Louis Welch almost losing P2. Aaron Ramirez finally getting past Alessandro Finn. No, Welch getting P2 off Alessandro Finn, apologies, and Aaron Ramirez finding his way through as well. Finally, that move has been made without the DRS for the lead man in this pack, and now 1.3 seconds is what Welch is going to try to chase on Fanzelta, as that is a 3-second time penalty for Tom Roberts down in the middle of the pack. But for Welch, he now has a lot of pressure coming on him from down to P11 as Oliver Knott becomes the 3rd driver with a 3-second time penalty. Welch will need to get back into this DRS as Tom97 becomes the 4th driver with a 3-second time penalty. But Welch needs to get back into that DRS on Florian Fanzelta as soon as he possibly can. Otherwise, he's going to get absolutely swarmed down the main straight and up the Kemmel straight as well. I briefly mentioned it, but this group in the middle, 3-second time penalties all going around, and not what they would have wanted with their races, because now they're out of the points and they're at a 3-second disadvantage to those who are in the points. Stephen Vaso could be shaping up a move on Carlos Galindo. Galindo making it look as though he was going to go for a move on Finn, maybe just to ward off Stephen Vaso, but we head down the main straight for the 9th time, and Florian Fanzelta is still outside of that DRS range.
Tom Roberts now retires from the race. Disappointment there, another retirement. We might be seeing that from Igor Pajewski as well. He might be staying racing, hoping for a safety car, which we can't rule out. Let's be honest, we can't rule it out. But looking at the front, by the way, Florian Fanzelta over a second ahead, as now Carlos Galindo might get 1. Is he going to get 2? Very close. Not close enough, though, but it is up to P4 and ahead of the Williams. Alessandro Finn, he's having a tough time. I think he pushed a bit too much, a little too early, I'd say, and he's starting to feel the effect of that. I'm not sure whether it's just that, but I do think he is starting to struggle a bit now, as he is getting overtaken more and more and more every single lap, and that's not what you want to see. But of course, it could be all strategy.
I mean, he was trying to stay within the DRS for as long as he possibly could on Fanzelta, but he just kept dropping back every single lap, and he kept and sustained 9/10 for a few laps, but he must have pushed all flat out, and now just sitting in P5, trying to recharge for when maybe they have their pit stops and he can come out and push from minute 1 once again, or he could be saving for right at the end of the race when the battles ignite, the battles that are certainly going on in this mid-pack, with everybody about 3/10 away from each other, and Stephen Basso maybe shaping up another move, not on Galindo this time, but instead on Alessandro Finn, looking, shaking, and maybe going to the inside, hoping for a mistake from Finn, one that did come, but not one that was able to be latched upon by the Red Bull down in P6, hoping for a move up to P number 5, but Finn now 4/10 off of Carlos Galindo ahead of him. He's going to not quite have as much slipstream as the drivers in front of him, and that could have a huge effect as Fanzelter continues his run ahead of the rest of the field. He's 1.9 seconds ahead now, as I think we will see a move from somebody in this top pack, and indeed it is, before even the DRS, Aaron Raminguez and Carlos Galindo get through, and just using that DRS to seal that position, as that is Stephen Vaso getting past Alessandro Finn. Finn dropping down to P6 now, and he's got the Ferrari of Tim Tornimo, who got a purple Sector 1 all over the back of that Williams rear wing. But it's going to have to be crunch time now for these hard runners, because those mediums of Florian Fanzelter are going to fall off in the next couple of laps, and that is when it's their time to strike.
I have to say, he's done an incredible job on those mediums. We're on lap 10, and he's still keeping up at least with the hard runners. You've got to give that to him, that probably without DRS, the hard runners would still be slower than the mediums. So, I've got to give it to Florian. He is putting in a really strong performance. Same as Aaron Dominguez, same as Carlos Galindo and Louis Welch. All 4 of them putting in incredible performances at the moment to stay in that top 4. But overall, you've got to say, from 1st down to 11th, they're all incredibly strong for not getting a single penalty, any of them, which I bet now somebody's going to get a penalty, because that's the commentator's curse. There's a few drivers come in for getting the first round of pit stops from the hard runners. Interesting to see, though, the hard runners like Aaron Dominguez and Alessandro Finn not happy on their tyres. Same for Belen Alikis and Patrick Dackmeyer, all unhappy on their tyres and all deciding to change, probably to the mediums, till the end of the race. So it's interesting to see that they've come in before Florian has.
Yeah, maybe the hards just are not the tyre to be on in this race, and so they're all trying to switch as soon as they possibly can, as Louis Welch is trying to switch up positions. He's moved up into P number 2, as that was a big lock-up for Fanzelter. Maybe he's struggling for this grip, but those mediums it's being demonstrated that they can go for longer than half of the race, and then if you can do less on those hards and more on those mediums, that will bring you a stronger advantage. If those mediums are able to last about 12 laps, more than I thought they were going to be fair, but at the moment, Florian Fanzelter teaching the rest of the grid a lesson and going on the alternate strategy. At the moment, it appears to be working, and we will see what happens, as of course he's going to have to go now for a different strategy to the one you thought he was going to go on, because now he's going to come in for the mediums, come in for the hards, and he's going to have to take the worst tyres for the end of the race. But as you mentioned, softs he could take. It would be a huge gamble, but if he thinks he's got the tyre, strategy correct, and if he thinks he's able to manage those tyres, then absolutely why not? We will have drivers coming into the pits this lap, responding to Raminguez, Finn, and Alekes coming into the pits. Who will it be, though, as we head out of the bus stop chicane? Will it be Fanzelter? No, it won't. It will be Carlos Galindo, the lead car of those coming in. Beso and Tornimo as well as Jensen Rosen and Tom 97 out of the drivers in the top 10. But Fanzelter 1.8 seconds ahead of Louis Welch. And this is crunch time now as well, because Welch will have no one ahead of him, no one behind him. 1.7 to Fanzelter, 1.8 to Isaac Leap behind him. So this is time for Welch to push without any pressure.
Very much. I must say, Louis Welch is starting to close in now. I think he's a little bit more free, starting to close in. But the one thing we might see is that I think the mediums are now going off fully. I think they've hit their brick wall. That there's no more left in the tyres. He's pushed it all he can. We'll probably see Florian come in this lap, or maybe next lap, but I would say probably this lap. What is interesting to see, though, is how some drivers have gotten away with an early pit stop. Look at how Aaron Dominguez has found over a second to Carlos Galindo. So maybe the tyres have worked out there, and now Aaron Dominguez will be trying. Whoa, he's given CPI Kai a bit of a push through the corner, but this is an important moment, isn't it? The pit stops have spaced out the grid a little bit more than we thought they would, as definitely it's shook up the order quite a bit.
It has, and I think it's set to shake up the order even just that little bit further, with Fanzelter still needing to come into the pits, Louis Welch as well. So in terms of the top runners, it will be interesting to see the overcut versus the undercut, as of course the likes of Alessandro Finn will be out for 2 laps by the end of this one. But we'll switch back to Fanzelter. Does he finally come into the pit? No. We're going to do 13 laps, Fanzelter, are we, on those medium compound tyres? So this is going to be a stretch to the softs, as everybody on those hards will dive into the pits now. Maybe even CPI Kai will dive into the pits, because we've got the top 4 who came in. Nope, I'm wrong. Oliver Knott does continue, but we had 3 drivers come into the pit: Welch, Beisner and Leet, and we'll see where Welch comes out in comparison to the lead runners. Aaron Dominguez goes past, so does Galindo, so does Veso, Finn, Tornimo, Elekes. He's losing a lot of positions here, but he's going to come out right at the back of this pack with the freshest set of those mediums, and he will be ready once he's saved up those tyres to go for an attack, once he's heated them up. And, well, I mean, he's not got much ERS to speak of, so it'll be interesting to see whether he does just decide that, for now, P9 is exactly where he wants to sit, or P7 in terms of the entire race picture. Florian Fanzelter, unsure where he's going to come out, but surely, surely, surely he will be coming in next lap.
He's got to come in now. Everybody else has, except Oliver Knott, the only driver yet to stop. This, I think, if he doesn't come in, I'd very much be shocked. But at the same time, I will say he could be trying to stretch it to the soft tyres, so he has that better final stint. And somebody's gone off, and that is Patrick Dackmeyer, who has just stopped on track. Okay, he's moving again. Or is that the AI? I don't know.
We might have had a reset.
Again.
I think we might have had a reset, possibly, from Patrick Detmeyer, and he's just sitting there contemplating his decisions. Not sure,
and
because
Florian is in the pits.
Florian has come in. Wonderful. And is this for the softs? We'll see.
We'll see in a second. I think it... Yeah, it is. He's gone... Is it the soft? I can't see.
He's switched onto the softs.
He's gone for it. It's bold, but it is going to be 8 laps. So he could just about do it. Where is he going to come out, though? It's going to be a bit further down the order. But again, he's going to be on those far... Whoa! And he climbs back up the order. Because, of course, it's the inside line. Where is he going to drop out to? He's down to P5. So he's lost 4 places. As Igor Pajetsky now retires from the session. Becoming our 4th driver of the night. But Florian, he's under attack already. But remember... These soft tyres, he's going to be faster than mediums now. But towards the end of the race, he might lose out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see whether he's able to manage them, because he was able to manage those mediums with decent pace for 13 laps. Such decent pace that he was able to take P5 on track when he came out of the pit. And he will be trying to push forward and gain the advantage that he had at the start of this race. But Carlos Galindo making a move. He will take the lead of this race in his V-carb. And he will try to control the pace from here on in. Already trying to break away. 5/10 is the gap between himself and Dominguez already. And he'll try and break it even further before we get to the DRS zone. And then he won't come under any pressure. Pressure that Dominguez is currently facing from Steven Veso, the Ukrainian driver, right on the rear of the Haas. And he will try to take that position, maybe even into the bus stop chicane. We've seen him try to go for ambitious moves so far this race. I think we've had 2 come off at the bus stop chicane. Can we see a third? Is it third time lucky for Steven Veso? Not that those first 2 were unsuccessful, but is it third time lucky? Is it another roll of the dice for Veso, or is he going to stay behind? He is going to stay behind. We could be seeing a move from Fanzelter as he just sticks a tie down the inside of Tim Tornimo. Does it come off as he gets the power down? It looks as though it might, and those tyres have been fired up. Tim Tornimo, though, with the straight line speed, and he is able to fight back. And Louis Welch and Balint Elekes behind them. They both tried to go for a line past Florian Fanzelter. They ended up fighting each other. And are we going to see our first? really thought it was this time that we were going to see our first side-by-side up Eau Rouge. Instead, Welch is going to try to use that slipstream, use that DRS, all to full effect. Ramirez retakes the lead of this Belgian Grand Prix on lap 15, and the Haas driver is now the latest to try to control the pace.
I think for Florian here, I don't think the softs are working for him as much as he thought they would against the mediums. Because you saw in the mediums versus the hards, he was just blasting past every single driver. You know, he almost made it look easy, getting past every driver. But on the softs, it's been a bit of a battle. But we know Tim Tonimo, he's got a strong defense. He's always a strong driver. And he's showing it here, and he's showing that it's not going to be easy to get past him. And I think this was, something that I forgot to mention earlier, is that if Florian faces anybody giving him a tough time on those softs, he can't push hard, or he's going to lose out on tyre wear. And by the end of the race, he still won't win, because he's going to lose out because he'll have such high tyre wear, and he's going to overheat those softs, because they do get overheated quite easily. So for Florian here, it's about being calm, making moves when they're best, and not waiting around. Balin, Alikis, and Louis Welch getting a bit of a push, I think that was, from Balin Alikis through the corner with Florian Fanzelter. And it is going wild in front. Tim Tonimo trying to make a move on Alessandro Finn into turn 1. Down into, whoa, what a big dive bomb from Louis Welch, taking up to 6th place. He's fighting with Florian Fanzelter again. These two were very close earlier on, but it is not a move for Louis Welch. He does get past Benin and Lekeys, but not the McLaren just yet. They're heading down the Kemmel Straight again. It is 3 drivers all battling it out. Look at this, Florian goes to the left-hand side. He's gone for the racing line. He's getting past Alessandro Finn. He's going to try and get past 2 into the chicane. He does get past the Williams. Still unable to get past that brick wall of a Ferrari.
Yeah, Florian Fanzelter at the moment really struggling behind Tim Tonimo. He's going to have another stab at it, and he will get past that tyre wear. Is just about supreme, and it's offered him the opportunity to get through into P4 as Carlos Galindo and Aaron Ramirez swapped once again. Galindo once again trying to open up the gap, and he's 6/10 quicker than Ramirez in that final set, in that second sector so far. Patrick Dackmeyer has retired from the session, and that is why there are yellow flags out in Sector 1. He becomes our 5th retirement of this session, and not the day the McLaren would have wanted at the moment. Not the day that Florian Fanzelter, his teammate, would have wanted either, because he looked, with all of that pace at the start, as though he was going to take what was set to be an easy victory, but he's got thorns in the side, and at the moment Tim Tonimo providing quite a large just deficit to everybody else. There's now 6/10 between Fanzelter and Stephen Vaso up ahead. P3 and P4. Hopefully for Fanzelter will try to fight as there is yellow flags. That is legitimate yellow flags, because something's happened between Isaac Leet and Balin Telekesh, who then means they drop all the way down the field, all the way down to 13th and 14th place. So some sort of incident has occurred between the two, and somehow they haven't incurred any damage at all.
By the way, a very dangerous rejoin from Balin Alikis, who almost took out Damien Carril as he came back on. Very, very close there. He might get a penalty for that, actually, post-race. As Damien Carril did get a penalty for ignoring yellow flags, so I think he'll try to get that removed, of course, which would be fair enough. But very interesting, though, there. Drivers, is it just me, or do drivers seem to be struggling for grip a bit?
I think they are, yeah. Just that little bit, which is surprising for these drivers. They're not normally struggling for that sort of thing. They're normally maybe struggling for those extra couple of hundredths of a second, but there is more margin for error here in Spa-Francorchamps. It's the longest circuit on the calendar, and so there is more places where you can make mistakes. It's going to rip up the tyres to shreds around the Ardennes forest, and at the moment they are struggling for that grip. Fanzelter hasn't had that same grip that he had earlier on in the stint, and we did see fighting at the end of the Kemmel Straight for that lead, almost 3 wide between Galindo, Ramirez and Stephen Vaso as well. Vaso wisely stepping out of it, and Galindo going down the inside. But we could be seeing a fight into the bus stop chicane, maybe not through the top few, but Fanzelter and Tonimo side by side, Finn and Beisner side by side, and it's a top 8 battle for the top positions at the moment. These 8 have been matched all weekend long, and they continue to be. Even so far as to go for Finn and Beisner. Huge send down the inside, but Beisner comes out on top, and now there is a gap opened up between Welch and Beisner, and that could be game, set, and match for the RB and the Williams. Just going just that little bit over the edge, and they're still going to fight with each other as they head down the Kemmel Straight. There's fights further up as well. It could be 3 wide for the lead. It is indeed 3 wide for the lead, and Florian Fanzelter, he's waited for so long, but he finally retakes the lead of this Belgian Grand Prix, and now he's going to attempt to control this pace. It's advantage Fanzelter.
And that's exactly what he needed, and I think it's almost perfect timing, isn't it? It's before his tyres get too used up by the fighting and being stuck behind. And so maybe he might be able to. It's almost 2 wide, 4 drivers fighting. Tim Tanimo coming through. It is battling all over. Aaron Meningas in an attack. He's getting attacked from every which direction. He's trying to attack and getting attacked at the same time. Down the inside goes Tim Tanimo. He's going to send it again into turn 1. Bit of contact through turn 1. Off of the exit. Who's going to get the better exit? It is going to be Aaron Meningas using that overtake button that he can use. Louis Welch also finding himself ahead of Vasso up into 5th through El Rouge and Radion. It's the move that you were looking for.
It is indeed the move that I was looking for. Finally, we've had it, and we could get some more exciting move, maybe 3 wide, between Raminguez, Finn, and Louis Welch just ahead. It's not going to be that. It's going to be 2 by 2, though, with Finn and Vaso side by side. Who's going to come out on top in this one? Vaso goes round. Contact between himself and Finn, and that sees the Red Bull out of the session, and it is our first safety car of this Belgian Grand Prix, and it comes so late in the day, and for Steven Vaso, absolute devastation as he retires from this session now. Safety car on lap 19, surely that means we've got a 1-lap shootout at the end.
I have no words for that. But this is perfect for Florian, isn't it? He's saving tyre wear.
Yeah, we'll see if we will see actually if anybody does take that gamble into the pit lane, because
although it is
of course,
keeping everybody, yeah,
because of course they're on those mediums, and although Fanzelter will have lost that time.
Will only be, what, 1 lap?
You reckon? I reckon it might be 2. I reckon we might get a 1-lap shootout at the end of this race. Might be slightly wishful thinking.
That's gonna hurt them. No DRS, either until the final lap or no DRS at all. Which is, I think, I don't want to say it fully, but I think would almost entirely seal the race if there was no DRS onto the final lap. But Florian is still going round.
And with Galindo, Tornimo, Finn, Raminguez, and of course Florian Fanzelter, the only drivers to stay out on the circuit. But for Fanzelter, this is his opportunity to try to save those tyres. We will either have 1 or 2 laps left of racing, and that means that we will only have 1 or 0 laps of DRS. It'll be just cold, stone hard fighting towards the end of this race, and Louis Welch leads the soft runners. He's got 4 medium runners to get through before he fights the final boss of this one, Florian Fanzelter, across to the line. But everybody will try to catch back up, and we will get back to green flag racing as soon as we possibly can, and we head through the area where the reason why we had that safety car out, Steven Vaso crashing at that exact corner contact between himself and Finn, saw him sent off and losing a tyre. So safety car has been caught up with. Fanzelter is following it through, and everybody should catch up to it pretty sharpish. Damien Curiel the furthest off it, only about 12-13 seconds away, so should catch up by the end of sector 2. And I think you might be right. I think we could get 2 laps of racing squeezed in.
I think it will be interesting though, because for Florian now, between him and the guys on the new fresh soft tyres, there's 4 drivers. So to some degree, he might be slightly saved by that.
Yeah, we'll have to. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but we won't have to wait too much longer.
I want to see it now. Safety car is in this lap.
Safety car will be in this lap, and so Florian Fanzelter will lead us away, and he will lead us as he has done so many times in this Grand Prix, but he is in a different scenario to the one that he has been in previously, as Oliver Knott picks up a 10-second time penalty for crashing with Lucas Beisner. You'd think that will drop him all the way down to the rear of the field. I say crashing. Contact between the two, regardless of how large the contact is well, it gives you a 10-second time penalty under safety car conditions, and I think he just got a bit keen to get going, and it'll drop him all the way down to the rear of this field, the field that is headed up by the McLaren of Florian Fanzelter, who has one more braking zone. Not that he might not even break into it, as he's just going oh so slowly to try and warm up those tyres, to try and put off those medium runners behind, whose tyres will be in a much better position. Fanzelter with 2 more corners, now 1 more corner, and now just headed down the main straight. It's time to put the pedal to the metal, Fanzelter. What have you got as you head down the straight? We've got green flag racing once again. Aaron Ramirez picks up a 10-second time penalty, and just behind him, Finn is going to try to be, well, he's going to be fought by Louis Welch into turn number 1. Welch is going to try to fight with Oliver Knott now for this P7 and P8. We could be seeing side-by-side up Eau Rouge on lap 21 of this Grand Prix. We are indeed, and it's Welch with the inside line who steals that position back where it belongs in P7. But Oliver Knott with that straight line speed. He does have that 10-second penalty, but he will fight for glory now. Wondering whether he will be able to get that one removed, but Fanzelter has built up that 4/10 gap at the front as Knott picks up another 3-second time penalty as he's desperately scrapping away now. There's a fight further up. Beisner trying to use those softs to get past Alessandro Finn, and that is one target knocked off. Welch and Knott fighting at the top of these soft runners is going to cost them massively, but now they've made their way past Alessandro Finn, and Jensen Rosa making his way through as well. Alessandro Finn, the only medium runner to drop significantly at the moment, the only medium runner to drop at all at the moment, although that could be changed at the end of this corner as Aaron Ramirez is being sent by Lucas Beisner. Beisner trying to hold it around the outside. He's not going to be able to, and he's going to try to make that move into the bus stop chicane, you would think.
Very much. Looking at Florian, though, he's pulling away almost half a second. He's trying to get that gap. Of course, there's going to be DRS onto the final lap. It's all the battling. We have to look to the guys in front, but we've got to look all around because action is happening all around us. And here comes Tom 97. He's trying to make a move. He's trying to make it 3 wide almost with his teammate as well into the final bus stop chicane. It is a ton of action and everybody's going side by side. Aaron Ramirez having a battle with Lucas Beisner. Who's going to get the better exit? And I think it is Lucas Beisner who's actually going to way slightly better. And down on the inside and into turn 1 they go. Lucas Beisner takes P4. Aaron Ramirez getting a dive bomb from Oliver Knott. And that is an uninvited dive bomb that he doesn't want. But we got to look to the front too. Although there's battling everywhere. And sadly, Aaron Ramirez does lose the place. And it's Florian who leads. DRS enabled for Carlos Galindo. Who is going to take this? It is all the way straight line speed and into the chicane. The main area to take the lead. And that's been lost for Carlos Galindo. It's been a good pull from Florian. Can he hook up the rest of the lap? Can he stay in the lead? The battle for the lead is on. Jensen Rosen now having a massive battle. There's a huge amount of battling going on in the middle part here of all the drivers. Tom 97 going around the outside of Aaron Ramirez for P8 there. Of course, Tom 97 has that penalty which will drop him outside of the top 10. And still, look at this. Carlos Galindo all over the back of Florian. Have those softs now lost all of their tyre wear? Is it all gone? Down the inside goes Tim Tonimo. He's trying to hold on to that podium ahead of Lucas Beisner and Oliver Knott. It is all battling. Soft runners I don't think are going to get a shot at the win, but we'll have to see who is going to win as we head down the back straight now, heading towards the final few corners. Only 3 more corners remain, and it is all battling. Carlos Galindo closing in more and more, trying to go round the outside of Florian, side by side, into the bus stop chicane. Carlos Galindo leads into the chicane. Who's gone wide? We're going to have to see. And it is Florian who will come across the line to win in PSGL PCF 4, round number 3 at Belgium. Holy, what an end it was.
What an ending that was, and that's always what happens when you have that safety car restart so late in the race. You get absolute carnage, especially with the soft runners trying to sight their way through the field, and in the end, it was the soft runner who took the alternate strategy today, who took that victory. That's right, it was the V-Carb who came out on top. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was the McLaren that came out on top. Florian Fanzelter, who took that P1 home. Tim Tornimo actually looking like he had pretty solid pace in P3 as I got mixed up between Fanzelter and Galindo. Galindo who made that send into the final corner but did not hold on to it do not take this as gospel, ladies and gentlemen, because we could have stewards' reports and it could all be so different next week. But Fanzelter ended up coming out on track, at least, taking that victory with Carlos Galindo in P2 and Tim Tornimo taking third place. Then it's Beissner, Welch, Rosen, Leet, Curiel, and Alekes rounding out. Oh, and Tom 97 as well, rounding out the top 10. I clearly can't count. Alessandro Finn dropping all the way down to P11 after all was said and done, with Kai Aaron Raminguez, who also dropped out as well. I believe there was contact. He might have even had some damage, but he drops out with the 10-second time penalty. And then Oliver Knott, the final finisher, with our retirees being Beso, who was the only one to retire on track. Then Dachmeyer, Piaszewski, Roberts, Fabosh, and then Bogdan Moldovan. But an incredible race of strategies, of just... I think that race had just about everything.
I agree. I have no words for that race. 0 words. But I have to say, the final push with that safety car was crazy. But you've got to say, the level of racing we saw, though, was on another planet. You know, how did barely anybody crash? Of course, we had that crash that caused the safety car with Vaso. But overall, it was almost godlike sort of tier of racing, and that's just what you expect from these guys. And I have to say, it was an absolutely tremendous race.
It was indeed, and as I mentioned, it had a little bit of everything, and we'll get a little bit more of our beautiful faces as I switch over now to the screen. No, I won't, not anymore, because I'm not able to see your screen, so we will just end it on this screen. But thank you very much to those of you for tuning in today. And, well, I mean, I hope I hope the drivers put on an incredible show. We will see you again next time. Goodbye.